Mobile touch controls game development. So this is a continuation of this game that we want to create, to recreate. So this is the author made by Black Moon. And again, let's give it a try again. Let's play it. So this is pretty much the game. We can move forward, we can move backwards, and we can start pretty much shooting with the space keyboard. So oops, this is pretty much what we have right now. Oops, okay. Let's continue. Okay, so overview control mechanisms. So in the previous video we checked out the implementing game control mechanisms. Now we're gonna see the overview. So the future of mobile gaming is definitely web, and many developers choose the mobile first approach in their game development process. In the modern world, this generally also involves implementing touch controls. In this tutorial we will see how easy it is to implement mobile controls in HTML game and enjoy playing on a mobile touch enabled device. So note, the game Captain Rogers Battle at Andromeda is built with Phaser and managing the controls as Phaser base, but it could also be done with pure JavaScript. The good thing about using Phaser is that it offers helper variables and functions for easier and faster development, but it's entirely up to you which approach you want to choose. So either the JavaScript, the pure JavaScript, or the Phaser framework. Pure JavaScript approach. We could implement touch events on our own. Setting up events listeners and assigning relevant functions to them would be quite straightforward. So this is an example. So this is JavaScript. So we have this constant declaration named EL or just L, and we are setting it to the document that query selector, and we're passing canvas. Then we're using the same variable, the L, and we're using the method, so il.add event listener, and we're passing two parameters, the stream touch start and then the handle start. Then we do pretty much 3 more lines, but this time is going to be l.add event listener touch move as the stream, and then we have the handle move. Then we have the l.event listener, we have the touch end as the string, and then we have the handle end. Finally, we have l.add event listener, we have the string touch cancel, and then we have the handle cancel. So this way, touching the game's canvas on the mobile screen would emit events, and thus we would manipulate the game in a way we would want. For example, moving the spaceship around. The events are as follows. So we have the touch start is fire when the user puts the finger on the screen. Okay, touch move is fire when they move the finger on the screen while touching it. And if you want to go more into detail, we have the touch start, and this is an element, touch start event, and we have a bunch of information here for that, but let's keep moving. So touch start, touch move. Now touch end is fire when the user stops touching the screen. Touch cancel is fire when a touch is cancelled, for example when the user moves their finger out of the screen. Note, the touch events reference article provides more examples and information. So pure JavaScript demo. Let's implement the mobile support in a little demo, and this is pretty much this demo. Okay, so yeah, this is the GitHub repository code available on the GitHub. We can move the player sheet by touching the screen on a mobile device. So you can try that if you are in a mobile device. Right now I am in my laptop, so what I can do is Ctrl Shift I, and well, let me see, I could simulate that if I press here, and I will have it in the same size or in the same size of a smartphone. But let's get rid of that. And okay, so this is pretty much what we have so far. This is the small demo in pure JavaScript. So I can move the spaceship and pretty much and all the Cartesian coordinates and the X coordinates and the Y coordinates, and also as in the Z coordinates, so pretty much into or out of the windows. Okay, so we have that. we will use two events. So the events are touch start and touch move, both handled by one function. Why the function touch handler will assign proper variables to the ship's position so that we can use it for both cases. When the player touches the screen but doesn't move it, touch start, and when the finger is moved on the screen, the touch move. So to do that, we will have to type in the document. This is the example. Obviously, we're not writing the code. This is the example, but we will have the document dot at event listener, and we will pass in the string touch start as well as the second parameter touch handler. Then we will have the document dot the document dot at event listener with the string touch move, and then the second parameter, the touch handler. So the touch handler function looks like this. So here we have the function and the function name touch handler, and we are passing in this function we're passing e. Okay, inside of the curly braces we will have our body code. So we will have an if statement. So if e that touches, then we're gonna do something, and that something is we're gonna set the player x, we're gonna set it to the e that touches, and we're gonna pass in this array. We're gonna choose 0 when we're gonna chain it to the that page x. Okay, so the whole thing minus the canvas that offset left, and then minus the player width divided by 2. So this is the first statement. The second statement would be something similar, but this would be player y, and we are setting it to e that touches. So in this array we will choose 0 that page y minus the canvas that offset tab minus the player height divided by 2. And okay, so this is the second statement. Finally, we will have the third statement inside of this if. Okay, inside of the if statement, that will be the output that text content, and we will open backticks, and we will have the touch colon, and then we will have a key value pair. So the key would be x and the value would be $player x, so comma, then we will have the key value pair again. So y is the key, and then the value would be $player y. Okay, so we close backticks and we close curly braces. And finally, still inside of the if statement, we will choose the e, so the event that prevent default. Okay, then we will close the curly braces of the if statement declaration, as well as the curly braces of the function touch handler. If the touch occurs, so touches object is not empty, then we will have all the info we need in that object. We can get the first touch, e that touches, and then inside of the brackets we will have 0. Our example is not multi-touch enabled. Extract the page x and page y variables and set the player ship position on the screen by subtracting the canvas offset distance from the canvas and the edge of the screen, and have the player's width and height. So we have that, and this is pretty much what we have so far. And this code, we already have it here, and you can check it out in the GitHub repository, but let's still have a basic overview. Okay, so let me see. We will have that. To see if it's working correctly, we can output the x and y positions using the output element. The prevent default function is needed to prevent the browser from moving. Without it, you'd have the default behavior, and the canvas would be dragged around the page, which would show the browser scroll bars and look messy. So then we will have the touch events and phaser. We don't have to do this on our own. Frameworks like Phaser offer systems for managing touch events, for ASI managing touch events, so you can check out this link if you want, if you are planning on using the Phaser framework instead of pure JavaScript. Now we have pointer theory, a pointer, so you have also the link for this. A pointer represents a single finger on the touch screen. Phaser starts two pointers by default, so two fingers can perform an action at once. Captain Roger is a simple game. It can be controlled by two fingers, the left one moving the ship and the right one controlling the ship's gun. There is no multi-touch or gestures. Everything is handled by single pointer input, so you can add more pointers to the game by using the des.game.input at add pointer. Up to 10 pointers can be managed simultaneously. The most recently used pointer is available in the des.game.input at active pointer object, the most recent finger active on the screen. If you need to access a specific pointer, they are all available at des.game.input at pointer 1, and the other is the des.game.input at pointer 2, etc. They are assigned dynamically, so if you put three fingers on the screen, then pointer 1, pointer 2, and pointer 3 will be active. Removing the second finger will, for example, won't affect the other two, and setting it back again will use the first available property, so pointer 2 will be used again. You can quickly get the coordinates of the most recently active pointer via the des.game.input.x and des.game.input.y variables. Now we see the input event. Instead of using the pointers directly, it is also possible to listen for des.game.input events like on down, on up, and on tap and on hold. So here we have another example that they're providing us. So we have the keyword des. We're chaining it to the that gain, that input, that on down, that add, and we are passing two parameters, iron touched and the keyword des. So semicolon at the end, and then we have a function named iron touched, and we are passing in the pointer. Inside of the curly braces, we just type some more code. So do something here. Now here we have the iron touched function will be executed when the on-down event is dispatched by touching the screen. The pointer variable will contain the information about the pointer that activated the event. So this approach uses the generally available des.game.input object, but you can also detect the actions on any game object like sprites or buttons by using the on input over, on input out, on input down, on input up, on drag star, or on drag stop. So we have that, and here they're giving us another example. We have the des.button that events that on input over, that add, and then we're passing the variables iron touch and the keyword des, and then we have the function iron touch, and we're passing the button as well as the pointer, and then here inside of the curly braces we will type some more code. That way you'll be able to attach an event to any object in the game, like the player's ship, and react to the actions performed by the user. An additional advantage of using Phaser is that the buttons you create will take any type of input, whether it's a touch on mobile or a click on desktop. The framework sorts this out in the background for you. Okay, so that is if you choose to use Phaser instead of pure JavaScript. So now the implementation. The easiest way to add an interactive object that will listen for user input is to create a button. So we will have this constant declaration name button enclave, and we are gonna set it to the des.add button, to the des.add that button, and we will pass in the parameters 10, the number 10, the string low enclave. Then we will pass in des.click enclave, and finally the keyword des. And then we will close this statement with a semicolon. So this one is form, and the main menu is state. It will be placed 10 pixels from the top left corner on the screen. Use the logo dash enclave image and execute the click enclave function when it is touched. This will work on mobile and desktop. Out of the box, there are a few buttons in the main menu, including the one that will start the game. For the actual gameplay, instead of creating more buttons and covering the small mobile screen with them, we can use something a little different. We will create visible areas which respond to the given action from a design point of view. It is better to make the field of activity bigger without covering half of the screen with buttons images. For example, tapping on the right side of the screen will fire the weapon, and again We will have the des.button shoot, and we are setting it, so we are using the keyword des. So we're using the keyword des.button shoot, and we are setting it to des.add.button, and we are passing the des.word width multiplied by 0.5. The second parameter would be the number 0, the third would be the string button dash alpha, the fourth would be null, and the fifth would be the keyword des. We end this statement with a semicolon, and we will have again the des.button shoot that on input down that add, and we would pass in the parameter des that go should press, and then we would pass the keyword des. We will do the same thing here. The only difference is that we have the des.button shoot and that on input up, so that's the difference. That add des that go should release, and then we will pass in the keyword des. The code above will create a new button using a transparent image that covers the right half of the screen. You can assign functions on input down and input up separately if you like to perform more complicated actions, but in this game, touching the right side of the screen will fire the bullets to the right. This is all we need in this case. Now, moving the player could be managed by creating the 4 directional buttons, but we can take the advantage of touch screens and drag the player ship around. So to do that, we have the constant declaration named player, and again we have all the code here. Well, I have it here, but you can check out the entire code here in the GitHub repository. So in the next video we're gonna start writing pretty much all this code, so let's just focus here in this series. So we have this constant declaration named player, and we are setting it to the des.game.add that is sprite, and we are passing in the numbers 3030 and then the string ship semicolon at the end, and then we would use the same variable player. We would choose the method input enable, so we have player.input enable, we are setting it to the boolean true. Then we have the player.input.enable drag, so we are using this method enable drag. We will have the player.events.onDragStar.add, and then we will pass in the onDragStar, and then also we will pass in the keyword des. We will also have the player.events.onDragStar.add onDragStar, and then we will pass in the keyword des. And finally we will call in we will have this function named onDragStar, and we would pass in the sprite as well as the pointer. And inside of the curly braces here we have some black code, so you will write something here. Now we can pull the ship around and do something in the meantime, and react when the drag is stopped. Holding in phaser as enable will work out of the box. You don't have to set the position of the sprite yourself manually, so you could leave the onDragStar function empty or place on debug output to see if it's working correctly. The pointer element contains the x and y variables stored in the current position on the drag element, so we have that. Now dedicated plugins, you could go even further and use dedicated plugins like virtual joystick. This is a pay official phaser plugin, but you can find free open source alternatives. You have the links for that. The initialization of virtual joystick looks like this, so pretty much you keep using the keyword des.pad, then we are setting it to the des.game.plugins.add, and then we use phaser.virtual joystick, so and then we have the des.stick, and we are setting it to the des.pad.add stick, and then we will pass in some variables, so in this case the numbers 30 30 80, and then the string generic. And just to end this, in the create function of the game state, we're creating a virtual pad and a generic stick that has 4 directional virtual buttons by default. This is placed 30 pixels from the top and left edges of the screen and is 80 pixels wide. The stick being pressed can be handled during the gameplay, and the update function to look like this. So again, this would be, and the stick being pressed can be handled during the gameplay, and the update function. So inside of the supposedly update function we will write the if statement, so the if there's that stick that is down, then move the player, so we will write something here. Now we can adjust the player's velocity based on the carrying angle of the stick and move it appropriately. So summary, that covers adding touch controls for mobile. In the next article we will see how to add keyboards and mouse support, so we have that. But in the next video we will pretty much when start working with this demo that they are providing us. So this is the demo they are providing us. this is not still the whole code. We're gonna work slowly towards the whole code. So once we write the whole code, it will look something like this. So let me give it another try. So I'm gonna move with the keyboards. I'm moving, and I'm gonna show you the other keyboard here. Oops. Oh, okay. Now let me give it another try. So yeah, but pretty much this is all that we have for the mobile touch controls.